Hello everyone, Teacher here, and I'm back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about Shadow in general, but also we're going to look ahead based on the AMA that they did yesterday, which was really interesting, good and bad. But today I want to take a quick look at the Shadow side and try to guess at what's coming. So if you're ready, let's take a closer look. So the thing I want to start off with is actually here, the question that was asked. Yes, this is me. Shadow characters when after October it will be 11 light and 2 shadow marquees. That is actually wrong because if you count the legendaries, we're actually up to 13. Just FYI, and that's if we include Gandalf and if we also include Lord Elrond, which I feel we should. At least 12, so 12 to 2, and they're saying here I would, well, dear Load will say, and then here Shannon says, spooky season is the best season. As I've asked, why not release in October for Halloween? That is my comment. But then the question is, what is spooky season? I'm thinking November could be a spooky season. Like, I don't know what Americans might associate with spooky season, but yeah, the winter months for sure. And I don't feel we will go for the new year because otherwise then we would have to go January and February, but there's so many other things you could release there. New Year related stuff, etc. So, and then Tim here says, great question. Thank you. Yes, we have focused more heavily on light characters in the time since launch. You don't say so. Introducing more shadow characters is important to us. Then why didn't you release them? And I'll simply say get ready because we have some really exciting shadow characters coming before the end of the year. Now, first off, I'm gonna start out with being positive. Exciting shadow characters, I hope so. Then I'm gonna do the negative. And let's go find them. This right here is not exciting shadow characters. I'm just gonna say that if they force me to build Dunlin, I might honestly be tempted just to skip it. Just to prove a point. Mordor, well, that's gonna suck for me. Goblins, also gonna suck for me. Isengard, within reason. Misty Mountains, not bad, like he's close to being 4-star if I wanted to level him up. Gruher I would be willing to wail on. These two I could farm or invest into. So, yeah, Mordor, we already talked about that. And then Haradrim, of course. And then there was also Isengard, as I mentioned. So, those are the teams. Now, the only team that is really missing is a 5th. And if we were to look at it, they say there will be a legendary before the end of the year. That is not necessarily a shadow legend. That could be Thorin for Thorin's company. They have kind of like built dwarves, pushed them out there, so there is decent chances for 5 dwarves for Thorin unlock, which I think is probably the most likely for legendary. And then if you were to do something about shadow characters, you could basically release the Nazgul separately and then make it a really pay-to-win team to counter the Rivendell in Arena, because that's also what you need to consider. If you release something new, it has to be able to beat what's already out there, and at the moment it's Rivendell hybrid teams that are dominating, so it has to be something that can defeat it. Bolg Tordok is okay, Gruhu the Brute is really, really strong, and Nuras is okay, and a summon would of course be nice. So people are like talking about what could it be if, let's say, it is a shadow legendary. Shelob would be for a Mordor team, which makes no sense because she would be a large character and she would replace Ironhide, which is the best member on the team. So that would make no sense whatsoever. Some people have been theorizing Smaug or Baby Smaug. I don't really see a team there unless it is Misty Mountains, but then again, you run into the same problem. You already have a large there, and it's a really good one. Then there's Azog, which could be Misty Mountains, because then you also have goblins available. He is mentioned in the Hobbit. He's not there because he's already dead, not as in the movies, but he is mentioned. So that could be something that is there to be used. Now, what else is there? There's Isengard for Saruman. I don't know if Saruman is mentioned, but he could be. However, I think I would wait with him. Um, and honestly, goblins, you could do a golem actually. I think golem with the goblins would make more sense because Misty Mountains is goblins. However, how many have actually really built it? And then you would then say, okay, why would I build goblins? Because goblins, I guess there's some blind and some different things, but they die very easily, and Elder here just basically one-shot things. So it's really, really difficult. So for me, like there are many options, and we don't know who it is. For me, from a marketing perspective, if I wanted to pull the most cash from people such as myself, etc., there's two options. One, Haradrim for Witch King, or some other really, really cool one, but I don't think the Nazgul are actually mentioned. I don't know, it's been so long since I read The Hobbit. So, if we were to theorize next Shadow Legendary, or the first Shadow Legendary, but not mentioned in The Hobbit, Haradrim for someone for Haradrim could be nice. Could also be something else entirely, but the thing I would do, again, because they're already in the game, I would release Nazguls separately as marquee, and then already well in advance tease the Witch King with his kit, because that would make people really, really invest. They would say, okay, this is gonna be the best thing for Arena. We already know there's gonna be a revamp there with the squads, and then everyone loves the Nazguls. Basically, they are freaking badass. And that's also why I feel that would be the best option, instead of like saying, okay, we want you to build Dunlin. No one likes Dunlin. Like these three guys, actually I don't know about Alreda the Chieftain, if that is also one that is not lore-wise, but I believe not. Like these two are non-lore, they are just minions, as we would call them, from other games, like just the fodder characters, basically. So if they do Dunlin, I have no reason whatsoever to invest, and that would actually make me skip a legendary. Also, these, like the Blood Rush, yeah, it's okay, but honestly, no, because who really farmed them? And again, you would make us farm a chapter 1 that basically no one farms, so. Shadow Legendary is really, really interesting, but I am really, really hyped for when it comes out. There's a lot of things to do. For me, if it were someone that required Misty Mountain, yes, I would actually go for offers, because I like Ball, Tordok, and and Gruher the Brute as well. Like, oh, and Nurse is actually pretty cool. I actually really, really like the Misty Mountain squad, and that's also why you can see Bolg is on this when it comes to his shards, because I did Halberat to Freestar, and then I was starting to farm Bolg, and then they did the star change, and I swapped back onto Halberat. So that's the thing. The only problem with the Shadow Legendary is, if it is Misty Mountains, hard to get Bolg at the moment. So there's a lot of if, buts, and maybe, but I feel if I were to look at it from a purely business point, for a strong team that can counter Rivendell and that can make me a bunch of money, I would actually be releasing Nazgul over time. And also because then you could always say, okay, a little bit later down the line when we have a light side again, then we're going to release another Nazgul that is basically going to make the Witch King and that team relevant again. That is a really good one. You could do Kamul amongst some others, but then that's also like, how do you build it, because you need 5 to unlock, or how do you do it? There's so many different things, but I think for a business point, the thing that would make CG most money, which everyone talks about, the game being dead, not making enough revenue, then release the Witch King and some Nazgul, and you are basically good to go for spenders. But you would also have to give free to play some way around it, because if you release the pure whale squad, it is it's a tricky one, and community will not be happy. So I'm glad I'm not in that decision making, but I would have say they wasted something here with this team releasing something, or they could say they release have to build Mordor, have to build that, and then you unlock the Nazgul that way, and then you get the Witch King with the 5 Nazgul. But that's also a lot of investment, so it's pretty interesting. Now, to round off the Shadow side, it needs a lot of love, and I do hope we get some good, relevant releases, not something like Haradrim. Like Gondor is living up to its hype, which is really nice. Haradrim, I hope they can shine in Chapter 4 due to the Unbreakable that they get. But we'll see, and overall, just it's gonna be a few very exciting months with the releases. And bottom line, my best bet for a legendary before 2024 is Thorin Lightside, and if I had to go with a Shadow side, I would say Gollum. Where it would fit in and how it would be used, I would not know, and honestly, I wouldn't be too hyped on that. But apparently, many people like Gollum, at least in CG, and maybe also in the community. So, if you like this video, drop a like and leave a comment down below, and I'll see you all in the next one.